What the hell happened to catamarans? Just a couple years ago, you couldn't even touch one without writing a six-figure check and fighting off 5 other buyers. Now, boats that once sold in a bidding frenzy are just sitting, collecting dust, dropping price tags like dead weight, and getting no love. The same cats that sparked daydreams on YouTube are quietly rotting at the docks. This isn't a dip. This is a crash. Today, we're diving into why catamaran prices are falling off a cliff, what triggered it, who's dumping their boats, and why the whole multi-hull craze is suddenly looking shaky. If you're in the market, or you've been watching from the sidelines waiting for the storm to break, strap in. It's here, and it's brutal. Let's rewind to early 2020. Borders were closing, cities locking down, and the world collectively hit pause. But for a certain kind of person, the dreamers, the doers, the ones already eyeing the horizon, something else clicked. What if we just sailed away from all this? And just like that, the great boat-buying boom began. Catamarans in particular saw a huge spike in demand. They offered comfort, space, and stability. You could live aboard, stay socially distant, and move with the wind. They were perfect for this new world everyone thought they were stepping into. People who had never set foot on a boat were putting in offers sight unseen. Brokers couldn't keep up. Used cats were selling for more than new ones. And boat yards? They were quoting delivery times 2, sometimes 3 years out. The frenzy was real, and for a while, it felt like catamarans were the hottest ticket on water. But here's the thing about a frenzy. It doesn't last. Fast forward a couple years, and the story's changed. Big time. The world opened up again. Travel returned. Life ashore, for better or worse, picked up where it left off. And suddenly, all those pandemic boat buyers, they started wondering why they were still paying slip fees, insurance, and maintenance on a boat they barely use. Now we're seeing the hangover. Dozens, heck, hundreds of lightly used catamarans are hitting the second-hand market. Boats with barely a season under their belts. Owners who chased the dream now trying to offload the reality. And it's not just about the personal shift. The wider market caught on. Buyers realized the bubble had burst and they started pulling back. No more FOMO. No more overpaying. So now you've got way more boats than serious buyers. Prices slashed. Deals everywhere. And the sense of urgency? Gone. That's the hangover. The euphoria's over, and the reality is setting in. For sellers, for buyers, and for the industry that built itself up during a once-in-a-lifetime rush. We're not going back to pandemic pricing anytime soon. The market is correcting hard. And catamarans, once the darling of the boom, are now the face of the bust. Here's a simple rule of economics. When supply outpaces demand, prices fall. And right now, the used catamaran market is drowning in supply. Why? Because over the last few years, boat ownership exploded. So many folks, some experienced, many not, bought in. They saw YouTube channels, read the blogs, binged the dream. Live aboard your floating condo and explore the world. For a while, it worked. But now, reality's hit, and hit hard. A lot of those buyers are trying to get out. Fast. Some realize that living on a boat isn't all sunsets and dolphins. It's toilets, haul-outs, and constant maintenance. Others found the costs unbearable. Slip fees, insurance premiums, diesel, repairs, and upgrades they never planned for. Some never even left the dock. The dream faded, and the for sale signs went up. And here's the kicker. While sellers flood the market, buyers are drying up. With interest rates high, inflation biting, and the economy wobbling, fewer folks are pulling the trigger. Buyers are cautious. They're watching prices fall and waiting for better deals. They know the leverage has shifted. It's a buyer's market now, not just in theory, truly, deeply. Boats that would have sparked bidding wars 2 years ago are now sitting idle for months. Price cuts are routine. Desperation is real. Sellers are throwing in gear, upgrades, mooring fees, anything to sweeten the deal. And still, crickets. This glut of used catamarans has tilted the balance. It's not just 1 or 2 folks trying to sell, it's a wave. Everyone who bought during the boom and changed their mind is now hoping someone will take that boat off their hands. But the buyers? They're in no rush. And that mismatch, too many sellers, not enough buyers, is what's driving prices into the ground. The longer this continues, the cheaper those cats are going to get. One of the biggest wake-up calls for catamaran owners these days? Just how expensive these boats are to keep. Not just buy, keep. And it's that quiet, relentless drip of costs that's turning a lot of proud cat owners into frustrated sellers. It starts with the basics. Catamarans have 2 hulls. Sounds obvious, right? But that simple fact means you're basically doubling up on a lot of your expenses. 2 engines, 2 sets of running gear, twice the haul-out space, double the maintenance, twice the anti-fouling. If you've got sail drives instead of shafts, now you've got 2 of those to monitor and maintain. That's not just added complexity, it's added money every season. And marina slips? Don't even get me started. Most standard slips are built for monohulls. A 40-foot monohull fits just fine. A 40-foot catamaran? That's a whole different beast. You either pay for a much larger slip, or you're stuck on a mooring. Or worse, paying for a cat-specific berth in a premium location. I've seen owners paying double just for the width alone. It adds up fast. Then there's insurance. Post-pandemic, with more boats on the water and more claims being made, insurers got nervous. Premiums jumped, especially for multi-hulls. The size, the systems, the risk of storm damage, it all factors in. For cats cruising in hurricane zones, some underwriters won't even touch them unless they're hauled out during season or tucked into an approved hurricane hole. Don't forget upkeep. Everything on a cat costs more. Sails are bigger, sheets and halyards are longer, rigging is heavier duty. Even replacing your trampoline nets every few years ain't cheap. Want to do the work yourself? Hope you've got the tools and the time. And if not, well, you'll be hiring marine pros at $100 an hour. Easy. It's not just about money either. It's the mental load. Keeping up with all the systems, maintenance, upgrades, it wears people down. Especially new owners who dove in headfirst during the boom and didn't know what they were signing up for. A lot of those folks have hit the wall. They're tired of the bills, tired of worrying about haul-outs, engine services, rig inspections, and the constant threat of something breaking. So, they list the boat, and when buyers push back on price, they fold, because anything's better than bleeding cash every month. That's how ownership costs end up driving down market prices. Sellers are motivated, sometimes desperate. The market sees it, smells it, and reacts accordingly. Owning a catamaran is still a dream, for the right kind of sailor. But for many who bought during the craze, the dream's turning sour. And now, the hidden costs are catching up with them and dragging prices down in the process. Here's a hard truth that doesn't get enough airtime. Catamarans lose value fast. Not in some gradual, manageable way, like a well-kept house. No, we're talking car-level depreciation. Sometimes worse. And for a lot of folks, this has been a rude awakening. You buy a new cat for, say, $700,000. It's sleek, shiny, outfitted with the best gear, maybe even custom touches. You're dreaming of warm breezes and turquoise anchorages. 2 years later, you go to sell it, and you're staring down offers in the 400s, maybe low 5s if you're lucky. That's not a typo, that's just how it goes. The first drop happens the moment you take delivery. That's when you go from new to used. And the market doesn't care how few miles are on the hulls. Buyers want a deal. They know they can find lightly used cats with thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, already shaved off the price tag, and they're willing to wait for it. But the deeper pain sets in around year 3 to 5. That's when the shine starts wearing off. Systems start aging. Upholstery fades, maybe a few dings and scratches here and there, maybe the sails need replacing. And that's when buyers really start picking apart your listing, using every little flaw to justify a lower offer. Now, some owners try to fight this with upgrades. I just added lithium batteries, new radar, a water maker, the works. But here's the kicker. Those upgrades rarely translate to resale value. Maybe they sweeten the pot. Maybe they make the boat sell faster. But recouping the investment, rare. Most buyers just see a newer cat with fewer hours and opt for that instead. And this isn't just theory. Brokers have started talking about it openly. The second-hand multi-hull market is softening fast. Too many boats. Not enough urgency, and everyone's doing the same math. If I wait 6 more months, I'll get it cheaper. It becomes a race to the bottom, especially for sellers who need to move their boat. And if you finance the boat, forget it. You could be underwater on the loan, literally and financially, paying off a note on a boat you no longer use, watching its value shrink by the month. That's not just stressful, It's crushing. Depreciation is part of boat life, sure, but the speed and scale of it with catamarans, especially the big charter-style cats that were hot during the boom, is something buyers weren't prepared for, and now that the resale market's flooded, the effect is even more brutal. This is the part no one tells you when you sign the dotted line. But it's real, it's happening, and it's one of the biggest reasons catamarans are getting cheaper by the day. You've seen the pictures: crystal clear water, sun-kissed decks, a catamaran anchored off a white sand beach with a couple sipping wine under the stars. That image has sold more boats than any broker ever could. But for a shocking number of new owners, that dream boat never leaves the dock. They become dock queens. It starts innocently enough. Someone buys a catamaran, maybe a leopard, maybe a lagoon, planning to sail the world or at least cruise the coast every weekend. But life has other ideas. Work gets in the way, family stuff, health, weather. Next thing you know, the boat hasn't moved in 3 months. Then 6. That's when the problems start piling up. A boat that just sits is a boat that starts breaking down. Systems corrode, mold creeps in, batteries fail, seacocks seize. Before long, you need to spend thousands just to get the boat seaworthy again. And with every month it sits, the owner gets more overwhelmed and more disenchanted. The maintenance guilt becomes real. Every time they visit, there's a new problem. They stop visiting altogether. And now this beautiful, expensive machine is just floating there, unused, unloved, and quietly bleeding cash. These dock queens are everywhere now, especially in marinas across Florida, the Med, and the Caribbean. Bought during the pandemic boom, they're boats that never got the adventure they were promised. The owners realize it's not just a boat, it's a second home, with all the costs and none of the convenience. Eventually, many of these owners give up. They list the boat, hoping to break even. But the market's shifted. Buyers aren't paying top dollar for neglected boats, no matter how new. And so, the price drops, again and again. This is how dream boats become liabilities, not because they weren't great boats, but because the dream was never matched by the lifestyle. A catamaran isn't just a thing you own, it's a commitment. If you don't use it, it uses you, in time, money, and stress. That's why prices are crashing. Not just because of markets and depreciation, but because thousands of dream boats quietly turned into dock queens. And their owners, they just want out. So there you have it. Catamarans, once the hottest thing afloat, now dropping in price faster than a poorly set anchor. From the post-pandemic hangover to the wave of sellers, the crushing cost of ownership, brutal depreciation, and the rise of dock queens. It's all come together to flip the market on its head. But here's the thing, this crash, it's not the end of the story. For some, it's a disaster. For others, it's an opportunity. If you've been dreaming of owning a catamaran, this might just be your moment. If you go in with eyes wide open, know what you're buying, know what it takes to keep it sailing, and most of all, don't chase the dream if you're not ready to live it. Because boats don't care about your intentions. They only respond to action, maintenance, and miles under the hull. If you've got your own experience in this market, maybe you bought high, maybe you sold low, maybe you're eyeing a deal, drop it in the comments. I want to hear your story. And if you found this breakdown helpful, give it a like, share it with a friend who's boat shopping, and subscribe for more real talk from the water. Until next time, fair winds, steady hands, and keep the dream alive. But keep it real too. Catch you out there.